Just before the 7th generation of consoles, video game producer Keiji Inafune wanted to make a zombie video game. Resident Evil had already cornered the market, but Inafune wanted to make something different, something lighter in tone, and with more combat options for the player. Ironically enough, the same company that makes Resident Evil was willing to indulge his vision. Inafune was talented, but the game he was pitching was very ambitious, so Capcom ultimately had a choice to make. Capcom made a wise choice, because not only was the game good, it spawned one of the more charming, unique zombie games ever to burn players' retinas. Dead Rising would go on to release in 2006 as an Xbox 360 exclusive. This was after some development woes. Ooh, I think I smell a lawsuit.
The smelly smell that smells. Smelly.
Yes, if you're familiar with this game, you're probably also familiar with the disclaimer that used to come on the front of the box. This disclaimer basically stated that the game had no relation to the 1978 film Dawn of the Dead. The disclaimer was put there by Capcom to try to prevent further legal action being taken by the film production group MKR. Unfortunately, it didn't work. MKR filed their lawsuit claiming that the game copied their film, and 2 years later, the case was dismissed. Yeah, for once it didn't get too messy. Capcom kind of just took this suit like Chris Rock takes slaps.
Oh, wow!
After MKR was forced to fuck off, Dead Rising became a full-fledged franchise, with multiple entries, along with some remasters that came out in 2016, the latter being what we're going to take a look at today. The remasters would see the games come to PC with improvements to performance, graphics settings, and fixes to old glitches that plagued the original release. And with that, enough jabber, let's go ahead and take a look at the story.
What in the world?
Dead Rising opens to freelance reporter Frank West heading into the fictional town of Willamette, Colorado via helicopter. He's there to investigate what local authorities are calling a riot, and it becomes obvious on your flyover that something more sinister is taking place in the town. Frank tells his pilot to take him over to the local mall, and from there it's Frank's goal to discover the truth and what caused the zombie outbreak. Along the way, the player will kill zombies and save waspy, brain-dead consumers of the Willamette strip mall. With that, it's impressive that the game manages to toe the line of telling an adult story and never forgetting the zombie zany fun that we're here for. One moment you'll be uncovering conspiracy-ridden plots and government cover-ups, and then the next you'll be seeing a booty-short clad hero slapping a 19-year-old incel like he's who now? I'd describe the game genre as satire, and it's bluntly aimed at American consumerism and capitalism. It's pretty on the nose, and there isn't any real, big, profound message in here other than saying those things are bad.
Doing this to survive. You know that.
Using a firearm for self-defense is our God-given right as Americans, Thomas.
A narrative doesn't always have to be profound to be enjoyable. That's the case with Dead Rising. It really is a good time. Also, having Frank West be a charmingly awkward horn dog with a heart of gold helps entertain the player through the 10-plus hour campaign. And with 6 possible endings to the story for the player to discover, there's plenty of opportunity for replay value. That's all I have for the story. How does the gameplay hash out?
You go boom now! Here's a present for you.
When you're first dropped in, it becomes painfully obvious you're probably going to die soon. You're clunky, slow, and you don't have any weapons. You can fix all these issues by gaining power points through killing zombies, saving different survivors, and taking pictures.
Fantastic! Great shot.
Gaining power points adds to your overall health, speed, damage, throwing distance, inventory space, and unlocks different hand-to-hand moves for Frank. But when it comes to zombie killing, you have plenty of options at your disposal. Dead Rising's big thing is weapons and variety. You can basically use anything that can be found in a mall. Want to beat someone with a guitar? Do it. Want to mountain bike through the kiosks? Why not? Maybe you're more conventional. You want a gun, or maybe the pageantry of a sword. While the combat isn't extremely intricate, the weapon variety makes up for it by having unique combat animations and feel for each item you pick up. But it's important not to get too attached, because the weapons can break after a specific amount of uses. And you better master all this quick because there's survivors that you need to save throughout the mall. But don't worry, that'll be a cakewalk. Or at least it would be if the AI wasn't brain dead. Seriously, it's a running joke about this game that the AI is terrible, but I underestimated how frustrating it was going to be going back. The Survivor AI in this game does bar none some of the stupidest stuff I've ever seen. It makes you just wanna... Of course, that mechanic only applies to the AI that you save. There are mini-bosses that you find throughout the mall that offer quite a bit of challenge. These psychopaths are different and offer different personalities along with fighting styles. Later, the player will fight cultists and military operatives. This helps break up the monotony of just fighting zombies and adds variety to the enemy types. After dealing with all that, you're going to be low on health, but luckily it can be replenished by eating different food items found throughout the mall. It's always possible to blend different foods and apply different abilities. An example of this would be blending milk and frozen yogurt to get Quick Step, an ability that increases your movement speed. Buffs can also be applied to Frank by finding different skill books and keeping them in your inventory. The buff can be as simple as a damage boost, or it can keep your companions from having a Vietnam flashback when you're trying to get them back to the safe room. And you better take care of all these things quickly, because everything is on a timer. Frank only has 72 hours before his ride comes back to get him, so you need to be quick to take care of all these tasks. To be honest, I hated this mechanic back when I first played Dead Rising, but now I like it quite a bit. It adds a layer of urgency and character to Dead Rising that I think if it was left out, it would have just felt like another zombie game. Having to rush to my next objective adds a layer of horror that the game would have been completely void of otherwise. This is only heightened by the save system in the game. You can only save in a select area, and there are no checkpoints. Being an airhead, I lost so much progress to poor save frequency, so keep an eye on that if you decide to give the game a spin. And with that, it's safe to say the gameplay holds up. But what about the overall presentation?
Do you have any idea how much meat Americans consume?
Dead Rising came out when Capcom games still oozed with style. The quirky sound effects and callbacks are great fan service, and being able to dress Frank up any way you want is absolutely hilarious. I also really enjoy the news graphic that pops up at the bottom of your screen whenever you do something eventful or unlock an achievement. All this, along with the game's really bright color palette, really helps it stand out. Overall, it's aged really well, and that's despite not having super detailed textures or lighting. Character models are decent looking and have smooth animations. When it comes to the face, though, we see the run of the spectrum. We see okay to absolutely terrifying. Aesthetically, this game really is great. Walking through this mall makes me feel upper middle class, and I can almost hear a Karen asking for her money back. It's also worth noting the game is unexpectedly dynamic, and this is most prominent with the survivors. Depending on how many you save, different quest lines can pop up later on. For example, there's this gentleman named Kindle. If you save him, later he will stage a coup and try to run off with most of your survivors. Now, if you get back to the safe room, you can talk him and the other survivors down, or when you initially see him, you can just beat him to death and be done with it. This same role can be applied when fighting one of the psychopaths, Paul. When you defeat him, you have the choice of letting him burn to death or grabbing a nearby fire extinguisher. If you put him out, you'll get the opportunity to bring him back to the safe house. Later, a quest will pop up and you can return to him to get a bomb as a reward. It was unexpected to see something like this from a game of its time, and it really would have blown my mind if I was able to finish this game when I was younger. That's right, I said it. I never beat this game when it originally came out. And I hate to say it, I cheesed every single save slot in this playthrough to get the best ending.
Ain't got no shame about it.
I learned my lesson from early on. I lost so much progress and I wasn't letting that happen late game. No sir, no ma'am. And with that, there's really not too much left to say. Dead Rising really has aged like wine. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. Once you complete Overtime mode, you unlock Infinite mode, and at that point you can go for the infamous 7-Day Survivor achievement. And I like the game so much I might actually do it. The achievement literally requires you to play the game consecutively for 14 hours. No saves, no breaks, no nothing. And if that's not a testament to how much I like a game, I don't really know what is. In conclusion, if you've never played Dead Rising, I highly recommend it, especially because it looks like the series is on hiatus until further notice. Dead Rising 4 didn't do that well critically or financially, so reminiscing is about all we got for now. But all in all, whether you're a diehard fan or a newcomer, Dead Rising's great. Give it a shot.
You know how to use this?
Kinda. I've covered wars, you know.